Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yashai, Ba'Shem Kodesh. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Israel. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to read the joint statement which was released by the White House regarding the Western NATO powers standing officially with the nation of Israel and backing them in this upcoming World War III, which is about to kick off. But let's go and read this to get started. This is Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So right here, this is a declaration from the Most High, saying that he has a plan against the nation of Edom. And the nation of Edom, today, you would identify them as the so-called Caucasian race, okay? And everywhere that they're spread, so the Caucasians in America, Canada, England, Australia, Japan, China, Russia, all over the place, right? Remember, the racial lines have been erased on purpose, and the people have been mingled together so that way these devils in power, these Edomites, could attempt to hide the original 18 nations amongst the 198 nations which exist today or that are recognized by the UN. So again, the Lord tells us here that he has a plan against the nation of Edom, who he also refers to as Teman. Now Teman specifically are the German Edomites, okay? Teman would be the smartest of all the Edomite tribes, just as Amalek, the so-called Jewish people, right? They are the head tribe of the nation of Edom. Teman would be the most ingenious, right? These are the Germans, the people who make up all the weapons and the impressive engineering feats, right? When you look at the roster of business tycoons and political leaders, you're going to find that majority of them are Temanites, German, right? Like Trump and so forth. Because again, the tribes leading nation of Edom would be the tribe of Amalek and the tribe of Teman, right? And then you have all the other tribes which come from Esau. So let's go ahead and move on to the joint statement which was released just a few days ago from the White House. And it says, let's get started. It says, for immediate release, joint statement on Israel, October 9, 2023. Today, we, President Macron of France, Chancellor Scholz of Germany, Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, Prime Minister Sunak of the United Kingdom, and President Biden of the United States express our steadfast and united support to the State of Israel and our unequivocal condemnation of Hamas and its appalling acts of terrorism. We make clear that the terrorist actions of Hamas have no justification, no legitimacy, and must be universally condemned. There is never any justification for terrorism. In recent days, the world has watched in horror as Hamas terrorists massacred families in their homes, slaughtered over 200 young people enjoying a music festival, and kidnapped elderly women, children, and entire families who are now being held as hostages. Our countries will support Israel in its efforts to defend itself and its people against such atrocities. We further emphasize that this is not a moment for any party hostile to Israel to exploit these attacks to seek advantage. As for us, all of us recognize the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people and support equal measures of justice and freedom for Israelis and Palestinians alike. But make no mistake, Hamas does not represent those aspirations, and if offers nothing for the Palestinian people other than more terror and bloodshed. Over the coming days, we will remain united and coordinated together as allies and as common friends of Israel to ensure Israel is able to defend itself and to ultimately set the conditions for a peaceful and integrated Middle East region. So you see, this here is a declaration from Edom to say that they're going to back Israel and they're basically willing to go to war. Now, on the opposite side, we have nations like Turkey, who said that they would pay whatever price to defend Palestine. And you also had Russia come out and say that they are on the side of the Palestinians. And pretty much all the other Arab nations, including Iran, have all supported Palestine. So this is it, Akim. This is the nations being given a reason to draw in to the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is Joel 3:2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. So the Lord here is speaking about the whore and the beast which it rides upon. You see, the whore itself represents America. The golden cup in her hand is the philosophy of the American way, with all its detestable lifestyles and moral corruption that it spreads around the world, including the alphabet movement, the perpetual wars, its rampant corruptions, and its false history. And the beasts which it rides upon basically are the NATO powers, and you can see the names here. And for the most part, these are all the nations which have signed on to this joint statement, minus a few of them: the Greeks, Luxembourg, Netherlands, and the Spanish, right? But for the most part, you can bet your bottom dollar that those other nations are going to come along any time now, once this battle starts to pick up pace. This is Revelation 17, and we're going to read the whole thing because this gives you an idea or a breakdown of the beast system and what's coming along. This is Revelation 17:1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The great whore, again, remember, is Babylon the Great, America, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Right? The kings of the earth would be these other nations who have made deals with these Edomites through their UN system, their economic and political structure. And when it says here that they have committed fornication with her, it's basically they went away from their laws of righteousness to do business with America, right? Basically having to support all the fornication because of America, right? The wine of her fornication basically means the doctrine of America. It says, For he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And this right here is what we've seen here, right? The American government, along with the NATO nations, that come together to create the spiritual beast, known as the whorish woman that rides upon the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Continuing, it says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And that's what America is. It is Mystery Babylon, right? The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. When you look at all the moral corruption and all the wickedness that is currently running rampant in the world, it has its origins in the Edomite nations, namely here in America. Verse 6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So John, seeing this woman, he thought she was beautiful, right? He was mesmerized by her, okay? And when it says here that she was drunken by the blood of the saints, this just shows, this is a representation of all the horrible massacres that have gone on in the past, which Esau has partaken in taking down the Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans. Let's continue. Verse 7, and the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Bottomless pit is Europe. And go into perdition, destruction. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the books of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Right? So basically the people who are lost in this world, the 2/3 and just the other nations, they're going to look upon the EU NATO system in America, and they're going to basically have admiration for it. They're going to want to be part of it, right? America is going to be, or should I say the beast system is going to be desired after, right? This is why people want to come to America, live the American dream, even though it doesn't exist anymore. Continuing, verse 9. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Right? And those 7 heads, which are represented by the 7 mountains, are talking about the 7 basically main kingdoms, which are listed here. Germania Major, the Romans, the French, the Spanish, Germania Minor, the British, and the Greeks, which make up the main power source of the NATO EU system, which America for the most part controls. Remember, America has control of who is the president of the UN Council. It's able to select the beast. And this is when it says this. Let's read it. And there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. And here's the point. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are the 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Right? So remember I was telling you how the America can nominate the president of the EU, and every couple years or every year they change out the president. I think it's every 3 or 4 years that the EU president is, or the UN president is changed, right? And it's selected by the United States, right? So this is what it's talking about. Continuing, verse 13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast, right? All of these nations which come together in the United Nations, the UN NATO system, right? They all move together in one doctrine, right? They're all working together. Verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, right? Because ultimately when the Messiah returns, these nations are going to be the main military power upon the earth that are going to be fighting with the Lord. And the Lamb shall overcome them, and for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Right? Just talking about how America and the UN system has power over a lot of people within the world. Right? Basically the people that live under the American and UN system. Okay? And because it has influence over these masses. Verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. And this is ultimately talking about how the allies of America will ultimately betray America and turn on her, and will ultimately join the other nations in launching missiles upon America to destroy it. Right? That is what is prophesied. Right? We can see this with France right now, where France is already saying it was a mistake to go into Ukraine, and it wanted to separate out of the UN and build up its own military power instead of having to rely on America. Right? You see, these UN nations, they're going along with the American UN system because that was the system that was set up. But everybody's starting to see these American Edomites for what they are, and they're trying to separate themselves. Right? Continuing, verse 17. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdoms unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest in that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So you see, this is the image, or this is the breakdown of this image here. See, this is the beast which is currently getting into position and is pledging its allegiance to Israel and to defend it. Right? So this right here is simply prophecy coming together, Akim. We are literally seeing prophecy play out in front of our very eyes. This is Micah 2 and 3. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. So as these nations are coming together to join Israel, the Lord is basically putting it into their spirit to do this, to be offended and want to ultimately wipe out the Ishmaelites, which is ultimately going to cause a lot of turmoil upon the face of the earth. But it's also, most importantly, going to fulfill this prophecy that the Lord is going to drag in the family of the Edomites, that being all the nations, all these Edomite nations, into the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? And then also just into World War III, on the multiple theaters of war, over in China, in Ukraine, in the Levant, right there in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and also over there in Korea. So you see, the Lord is setting up a trap for these Edomites, which, like it says, they're not going to be able to escape. They're not going to be able to remove their necks. This is it for the nation of Edom. And this joint statement that they've made is ultimately going to lead Edom to their doom. This is Jeremiah 30 and 11. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, to save thee, though I make a full end of all the nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. So, like I've said it before, Akim, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, the Israelites, we've been punished for going off, and we've paid off that punishment. We are at the end of our time out, of the great falling away, and the Lord is now calling us back to Him. Right? He's calling us back into the living room to, be with the family. And only, sadly, only 1/3 of our people are going to wake up. 2/3 of our people are going to continue their, on their merry, ignorant ways, and will ultimately, have to pay the ultimate price for that. Just like these other heathen nations, which the Lord is bringing this destruction upon. But I just wanted to share this statement that the White House made on Kim to show you that we're there. We're in the last days, and prophecy is starting to play out. So hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakal Kodash, Shalom.